Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butts, get big or get out.
You know, it's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.
The Summer Replay series of Item 13 is brought to you by the Seraphim Store. Must-have makeup and skincare ready for delivery to your doorstep in Accra, Ghana. Launching this August, Seraphim is your reliable local source of great skincare and makeup. No more ridiculous shipping fees or hassling friends to bring back your favorite skincare product on their next trip home. The team at Seraphim has carefully selected their very favorite products for prevention, for healing, and of course, to adorn our various shades of chocolate skin. Check out the Seraphim Store on Instagram at the Seraphim Store or on their website www.theseraphimstore.com. You're listening to the Summer Replay series of Item 13, an African food podcast. We're sharing your favorite episodes from the past 2 seasons all month long. It's a good time to share the podcast with a friend. Subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app. Stay tuned for all new episodes next month. Season 3 will be back in September. Here's the replay.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the difference between customer service and customer experience. So when I think customer service, I think of the waiter bringing me my food. If it's something's wrong with my internet, whatever I'm calling a call center, that's customer service. But how is that different from customer experience?
So customer service is usually prompted by an action. So if it's either problem solving or you walking into a business and deciding that you need to, the problem being solved is that you're hungry and you want to eat, and they're providing you with the customer service. But then customer experience really is like, it's a relationship between the brand and the customer. And for a brand to really think about, what do I want that process to be in terms of why did a customer even think about approaching my brand for my product or service? That whole end-to-end interaction is the customer experience.
This week, I speak to customer experience specialist and founder of Bawoni Consult, Maureen Atebawone. After studying in Ghana and Canada respectively, she made the permanent move to Ghana in 2015 and decided to set up her consultancy to address the lack of service quality in Ghana's hospitality industry. With a focus on food and beverage and lodging businesses, Bawoni Consult provides small and medium businesses with operational consulting and related resources. Maureen spent her free time exploring Ghana's beaches, exploring wellness and self-care, and working on her passion project, Mystery Diner Ghana, an online platform where consumers can anonymously review restaurants in Ghana. I met Maureen in Accra for this fun conversation. She dropped some really good gems on customer dining experiences and insights, as well as tips for small business owners. We talked about her mystery dining project, and she shared a great self-care hack that I think you'll find really useful. As usual for each episode, we ended the conversation with a rapid-fire segment. I hope you enjoyed this one as much as I did. Here's the show. So hi, Maureen. Welcome to Item 13 podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So my name is Maureen Atebawone. I'm full Ghanaian. I was born in Syria,
In Syria? Wait, I did not know that.
Yes. My dad works for the UN. So I was born in Syria, and then I lived in Israel until I was 10.
No way.
And then I moved to Ghana and did the rest of my primary school and high school here. And then I moved to Canada from there, and then moved back to Ghana.
Oh, wow. And I thought I'd been all over the world.
Yeah, so it's been interesting moving back and forth. But
I see. Mm-hmm. And Israel.
Yeah.
Do you remember much about living in Israel? Or?
I mean, I have good memories of Israel, and I still have friends that live there.
Have you been in
Not
your
yet.
life?
The plan is next year or two. I'm going to go back.
Oh, cool. I actually was there, I think like 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, like in Tel Aviv and then in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I lived in Jerusalem. Yeah. And I still remember like my neighborhood name and everything.
No, it's funny because when I was there, I kept hearing my name because Yom is the word for day in Hebrew, right? So walking the streets of Tel Aviv, and then I kept hearing Yom, but people were saying good day to each other, and I didn't figure that. I was so confused. It was only later that someone told me that Yom means day in Hebrew, I guess. So you moved back to Ghana a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Why did you decide to move back?
I think when I moved to Canada, I always knew I would come back. It was just a matter of when.
Okay.
So I would come back once or twice a year to visit my family. And then as I was coming back, just like seeing how things were developing. And I did come back in 2012 to try and move back.
And that didn't work out.
And it was interesting. It prepared me for my later move, but I couldn't stay. Like I'm going back to Canada, and then finally in 2015, I was like, I'm gonna make the move, and I just did it. Like rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. And how has it been? How much of it has changed? And
I mean, 2012 definitely helped me because I think at that point things were a bit rough. We're deep into the Dumsor stage, so it was really rough, like adjusting then. But then when I came back in 2015, I was prepared for that.
Okay.
And then also in terms of like the work environment, I was prepared for that as well. And a lot of my friends had moved back as well.
Okay.
So it wasn't too much of a shock.
Okay.
It's been a slow transition. I gave myself about a year and a half to really get into it. So I didn't put too much pressure on myself. But it's been good. Like I'm so happy to be back.
Yeah. No plans to move back to
Canada
I can't
anywhere else see myself living anywhere else. Frustrating as it is sometimes, like I know I'm going to be in Ghana.
Cool. And then let's dive into today's topic then. How did you end up in the world of customer experience?
The idea came initially in 2012 when I was here. So I remember I was sitting by the pool at La Villa, which is one of my favorite places to go and hang out, and it was like me and my friend just talking about I had always wanted to be in hospitality. But when I told my dad that I wanted to study hospitality management,
like a true Ghanaian
dad, you better find something that you can make money off of. So he wanted me to be a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. I ended up studying law in university, and then decided that I didn't want to practice it. So 2012 I came, and that's when I feel like the seed was sown. So I started looking into that, moved back, and then I worked in very customer experience and customer service heavy industries within education and hospitality in Canada. And then by the time I moved back, I had a clear idea.
Okay, so it was in Canada that you sort of got the framework, if you will, for what customer experience is or should be.
Exactly.
And then matching it to your experience in Ghana and being like, nah.
Yes. That's pretty much it. And luckily, when I was in Canada, I moved to Toronto when I moved back from Ghana, and I was working in education and tourism. So what we were doing was, for any international student that was entering the city of Toronto, we helped them with basically getting settled and finding homes or residences. And so I was exposed to a lot of different cultures as well, with the other tourism agents and a lot of students from China and from Nigeria and from India and stuff like that. So it kind of really gave me a more diverse view of what customer experience and customer service would be or could be. So coming back, I was better prepared to address the issues.
Yeah. So tell us about what Bawoni Consult is today. Maybe even what the name means.
Okay.
So what it means to you, or what it means if there's a literal meaning.
So my last name is Atebawone. So I kind of and it was very weird. Like I was sleeping and I was like, I got it. So and it's spelled differently. It's spelled with an E. So people confuse the pronunciation, and I really wanted it to be something that was tied to me, like the name of my company. And so I thought of Bawoni, and I changed it to an I. And then later on, I found that in Yoruba, it means like hello, welcome. So it kind of just worked out.
Yeah, that works out really nicely.
Yeah, so that's where the name came from. But Bawoni Consult initially started as a customer service company. Like I wanted to train in customer service for different businesses in hospitality mainly. But it's evolved from that because I realized in the beginning that people or business owners weren't really that eager to invest in customer service because of a number of other issues that we have within the industry, employee retention being the biggest one. So I've had to pivot a lot and focus more recently on customer experience and getting business owners to understand that it's not just a service and solving a problem, it's really developing a strategy where you're thinking about the end-to-end process for your customer and your company. Okay. So that's what it is.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the difference between customer service and customer experience. So when I think customer service, I think of the waiter bringing me my food. If it's something's wrong with my internet, whatever I'm calling a call center, that's customer service. But how is that different from customer experience?
So customer service is usually prompted by an action. So if it's either problem solving or you walking into a business and deciding that you need to, the problem being solved is that you're hungry and you want to eat, and they're providing you with the customer service. But then customer experience really is like, it's a relationship between the brand and the customer. And for a brand to really think about what do I want that process to be in terms of why did a customer even think about approaching my brand for my product or service, that whole end-to-end interaction is the customer experience. So everything from you deciding to pick up your phone to see which restaurant you want to go to is part of the customer experience, right?
And then, so you come to Ghana, you set up Bawoni Consult. How did you kind of touched on it a little bit just now in terms of pivoting several times because establishments did not want to invest in customer service because of problems like employee retention. How did you convince maybe your current clients that what you're doing is worth their time and resources to put into it in terms of helping their businesses to do better?
I would say I wasn't driven by money from the beginning, and I knew that there was a need for the customer experience training and customer service training within the industry, and even like within a lot of industries in Ghana. It's not just specific to hospitality and retail. So I did have to do a lot of things for free. And there were one thing that happened was I would go in offering a service, and then my clients would ask me for something else. I would go in for customer service training, but because they had issues with employee retention, they would ask me to find the employees for them. So I ended up recruiting, and then over time, people just started associating Bawoni with recruiting and training and finding resources. Right,
because I think I've seen you post a few things about looking for experts and for
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's how I've had to pivot mainly within the industry. And then I think I've also been flexible as to, I try not to present myself as someone that's just selling a service, but as a resource person. So even if they had any kind of issues outside of whatever I was offering, I did offer to help them with those things. And that's how I've actually developed my client base.
Interesting. So actually, as you were speaking about that, I was thinking, are you a one-woman show then? Are you doing everything yourself?
I did for a long time.
How do you do that in crazy Accra?
You just have to. I think when you have an idea, it's really hard to delegate, especially over here.
I just asked you that question, but I think I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, it's hard to delegate. And if it's your business that's on the line, you're even a bit more scared to delegate.
Because it's your brand and it's you and you don't want anybody else to.
I had to do it a lot by myself, but over time, I've collaborated with other people. And then I've hired a few younger people that are interested in the industry. So I just hired a really excellent intern, and she's very passionate about
that's
hospitality. So we can literally sit there for like 2 hours talking about hospitality. But it's kind of like developed and like grown organically. When I'm ready, then someone pops up. I'm like, okay, I think I can work with you, and then we just do the collaborations.
Okay.
Mainly.
And then have you done end-to-end customer experience projects, if you will, for any clients in Ghana? And then what do they? What's their expectation going into it, and then coming out of it? Like, what has their experience, if you will, been?
So one of my earliest clients actually is not in hospitality per se, but it's a software company. And what they do is they provide a software that ties into points of sale and marketing for businesses within hospitality and retail. And I started working with them when they were at market entry stage. So I basically developed their customer experience strategy.
And that's probably the best time to do it, right?
Exactly.
Before they learn any bad habits.
Exactly,
Let's do it right from the beginning.
So they were just out of beta stage, and I helped them basically find their clients and then kind of really develop a strategy that worked around their software. And so now I'm phasing out of it, but then they have like a certain number of clients within the market, and they have a concise customer experience process and cycle. And I think doing that at that stage, because it was market entry, it gave me a further insight into what the market is here, and in terms of expectations people have of what am I supposed to expect as a customer from a brand, and what the brand should provide a customer in terms of the support that they have.
Was that one of your pro bono projects, if you don't mind me asking?
No, actually, I would price too high, but you need to be able to kind of break down the value of the service that you're offering. So if you're even selling a product, people need to know that they're getting the value for their money, and be able to like articulate that from the beginning. So that helps me in the beginning. And I also feel like I was lucky that I secured a retainer client very early.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So it kind of cushioned everything else that I might have been doing for free.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you talked about your target market and your target client. And I think I may have asked this a little bit, but let's ask it in a different way in terms of how you found your client. So you said you're looking specifically at smaller companies. I don't know if for now or if that's your strategy like long term, but how do you find these clients? How do they come to you? Is it through referrals? Like, are you putting ads out there? How does someone think about growing a customer or client base?
In the beginning, I did a lot of door to door. Like, I would literally walk into
for real?
business. Yeah. I was like, no, I need to get these people to understand that I'm serious, because I feel like you can see a flyer, and you can see an ad, and maybe someone might mention, but no one's going to explain it the way you do. So I would go door to door, ask for the business owner. If I can't get the business owner, I would ask for the manager, and then schedule meetings and pitch. Like, tell them this is what I'm trying to do. And one thing that I always did in the beginning was I would go in and assess the business. Tell them the weak points that I noticed, and most of them already know that these are weak points. So like, these are the solutions that I want to offer, and like, that's honestly how I started signing up clients. And then I had like a lot of friends that would just talk about, someone would be like complaining about issues they have in their business, like, oh, you should talk to Maureen, you know, this is what she does. And then people would call me, and it's still like that. Like, people would just pick up the phone and call me like, can we have a meeting? Yeah.
That's some hustle. Right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so I think this is a good time to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll delve into specifically customer experiences in food establishments in Accra. You guys should see her face right now. She's like ready to dive into this. Okay, we'll take a break and then we'll be right back. The Summer Replay series of Item 13 is brought to you by the Seraphim Store. Must-have makeup and skincare ready for delivery to your doorstep in Accra, Ghana. Launching this August, Seraphim is your reliable local source of great skincare and makeup. No more ridiculous shipping fees or hassling friends to bring back your favorite skincare product on their next trip home. The team at Seraphim has carefully selected their very favorite products for prevention, for healing, and of course, to adorn our various shades of chocolate skin. Check out the Seraphim Store on Instagram at the Seraphim Store, or on their website www.theseraphimstore.com. Welcome back from the short break. So now specifically customer experiences in food establishments, restaurants, etc. in Accra.
what for you are the top 3 customer experience challenges that you think restaurants, food places in Accra have to deal with?
Okay, so I think for me, I'll just list them and then I'll delve a bit deeper. But the first one is customer centricity. Okay. So I find that the establishments aren't really making the customer the center of their business. Everyone's opening a restaurant and maybe they have like different kind of food, but how are they really making the customer the forefront of their business? That's really something that I look out for when I'm going to different, like even with my clients, I ask them, are you creating a customer loyalty program so that your customers are coming back? Are you thinking about customer
I don't think
retention?
I know any place in
There's a few.
Vida does.
Yeah, and I think
coffee place does.
Cafe Kwai also does it.
Oh, they do actually.
And there's a few places that do it. I mean, Vida is the one that in Second Cup does it. The coffee shops generally have their cards.
That's easy to
stamp. But they're not collecting customer data. And so with customer centricity, like you're collecting that data and generating insights. Okay. And then you can actually track your customers' buying behavior, and that puts you in the best place to develop your customer experience. Okay. The second thing is education. And it's two-sided because in as much as the business owners are not really educating themselves on the customer, the customers are not educating themselves on what they should be getting from the businesses. And my bottom line when I'm talking to anyone is like, you are spending money that you worked hard for. You should be able to demand a certain type of service or customer service or customer experience. So education is also a really big challenge. And I find if you don't, like one of the things that I spoke about on like my blog was service charge and what it means. Yeah. And people just think that service charge is on their receipt and they have to pay it, but you're paying for good service. Yeah. Like you're literally saying, I had good service today.
Some people can make you feel very bad about that. I mean, I've been to a place in Accra, which I would name, where the service was terrible. So I wasn't going to leave a tip, and I was leaving. The waiter stopped me and said, "Oh, madam, by the way, it's customary to leave like 2 to 5 CD." And I'm like, you don't ask me for a tip. I give you a tip exactly because you gave me good service, right?
But see, that begs the question, are the business owners telling them that this is what it is? And it's so like really deep rooted, because you also have to wonder, is there a model for the tips, right? So are they putting all their tips in the tip jar and sharing it at the end of the night, or is the business owner taking a majority of the tips and not giving it to the service?
Right. And I also thought, at least from my experience living outside the country, in the US specifically, I should say, that the tip system is also part of waiters and waitresses' wages. Right? They don't pay them as much as they should, and they expect that they make up for that with tips. And so then the waiters and waitresses go out of their way to give you exceptional service to get the tips. But here I feel like it's not part of that structure, right? I don't know how well or not people in the service industry are being paid, but I don't think tips are being considered or factored into their ultimate.
I mean, I do know a few establishments that have really good tip systems, but like I said, it's education. Right. And the issue with education stems from how educated the waiters themselves are before they start working with these establishments, and being able to train them, because they might not be as well educated as their skill development within the establishment. So that's something that really factors into the challenges in the food industry. And then finally, I think people are very complacent and mediocre. We've accepted mediocrity in this society. It's like you go to a place and you know that it's not the best service, but it's better than this other place, so I'm going to still go there, even though they could ramp up their service or their food quality. We've just kind of gotten so complacent.
Accepted it. This is what it's going to be. Like, I always tell my husband, likes this wache place in Adabraka. I mean, it's not fine. I mean, it's like a store. She has a wache, but she's really, really popular. And so you go there. She opens at 12. You go there at 11:15, and people are already lining up. And I think, one, because she knows people will show up
no matter what.
She takes her time. She moves so slowly. She's not friendly or polite. And then people also have accepted it that, oh, this is quote unquote the best wache that is in this part of the city, this part of the town. And so I'm going to wait 1 hour while she decides to do whatever. And it's just like you said, we've just accepted it as this is the way it should be. I mean, she could
have a better system.
Yeah.
But she's decided I've had this business for a while.
Exactly.
I'm not going to have other people serving me. And there's space for her to have at least 2 other people, but I think she also wants to have that. Yeah, control, exactly.
Yeah.
So you're waiting for an hour when you literally could be waiting for 15 minutes because she wants to completely control the experience, quote unquote.
And I mean, that's a typical example of the difference between customer service and customer experience, because the customers have associated that behavior with the brand.
Yeah.
So they don't expect anything else and they're fine with it. I mean, granted, it could be better, but everyone is like, okay, I'm still going to pay and this is what I want. But customer service would be just, okay, well, this is the problem now, let me solve it and like not think about it anymore. So it's really that expectation as of, like with the brand, that's what customer experience is.
Okay. Interesting. So on the flip side, I know we've talked a lot about what's wrong with customer experience in Accra. So let's try to look at the other end and see what, like from your perspective, what's working well. And I'll tell you an experience I had earlier this morning at a new place in Accra. I don't know if I should mention the names yet or not. Now it was a good experience, so it's not a knock on the establishment. But I think on the flip side, some places try almost too hard. Where for me, I find it to be almost uncomfortable. So you walk in and like all the waiters and waitresses rush on you and they come to your table, they check every 5 minutes. They're standing in the corner like all watching you. I feel uncomfortable eating because I know they're standing there like ready for your next move. And I understand they've been like, I've seen on social media that, we're closed for training. So I know they're training their people. They want, it's a new place. So I know they want to be top notch. But like, how much is too much?
Oh, that's such a tricky question. I mean, the fact that you're saying that they're training is good because you really have to also assess the kind of customers that you have coming in. You know, you might go into one establishment and you want that kind of attention, and then you might go to another one where it's more casual and you just want to go in, have your coffee or whatever, and then leave and not have too much interruption. And especially if it's like an environment where people are talking. Right. So if you're going to a coffee shop where people are having meetings, you need to train your staff to know that you can't interrupt a business meeting because you want to deliver excellent customer service. But it's really also being able to train your staff and give them that little amount of leash to be able to make that decision by themselves, because not every customer is the same. Right. And some people want that attention. So it's getting them to the point where they can be almost autonomous in providing the service that you want them to provide. So it's a tricky question. But
and I'll say, because you mentioned Cafe Quiet, so I'll say I also go to Cafe Quiet quite a bit to work. And I think they found the right balance where now when I walk, because I go there so much, when I walk in, there's a particular waitress that knows me because I'm there all the time. And I think she's found the right balance. Like as soon as I walk in, she knows I'm coming to work because I'm carrying my laptop, all of that stuff. So she'll literally take me to a table where there's a socket. She knows that I will be comfortable with. She knows I bring so many things. She gives me a big enough table. There's a socket and all of that good stuff. She brings me the menu right away. 9 times out of 10, she'll ask me if I'm getting the same thing. 9 times out of 10, I'll get the same thing. And then she leaves me. She's not hovering. She's not. She knows. Like we've kind of gotten into this rhythm, and I think they found that balance, right, of like providing service but not being intrusive, right? So there's a good balance to be had. Let's switch gears now and talk about your passion project, which I think is kind of tied into what your day job is. So you run Mystery Diner Ghana. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Okay, so Mystery Diner Ghana is basically an online review platform. We have a lot of food bloggers, which I love, but I realized that I had a lot of friends coming to me and providing feedback about different establishments that they went to. And I was like, okay, well, I can't go to every single person and be like, this is what someone said about your establishment. So I created Mystery Diner. You can simply go online through our social media platforms and submit a review on your phone, and it's completely anonymous. I don't know who sends in the reviews. And sometimes people just like kind of snitch on themselves. Like, did you get my review? And I'm like, I didn't know who sent it. But the premise is that you should be able to give free, honest feedback and not feel like someone might spit in your food because you told someone about, like, you gave them negative feedback. And I think that's one of the things, like, we're just kind of, as a society, we're kind of a bit hesitant to go to a manager, and we're not sure what kind of response we're going to get from the managers or the business owners or even the wait staff about something being wrong with our food. So we just pay and we leave. But I started it, and it's kind of grown by itself.
Yeah.
I think people have things to say about where they're eating, and businesses are paying a bit more attention to it because they know. I think some businesses, the owners aren't there all the time, and the wait staff starts to slack off or something like happen, and you see the reviews and like, oh my god, thank you for letting me know about that. So that was Mystery Diner. That's how it started.
I've used it myself since I've been in Accra the last couple of weeks, and I love it. I feel like it's now sort of the highlight of my dining experience.
Awesome.
Yeah, like I go in, I'm like, okay, I'm looking out for all these things, because I think the first time I filled it out, like I didn't look ahead to see what the questions will be. But now that I sort of have an idea, I'm looking at this, like when I'm walking in, like what it looks like on the outside, things I didn't pay attention to or notice before, but I know that, I'm going to have to wait on this and this and this. So let me think through that. But I mean, do you think Ghanaians care that much about all of that though? Or do you think, like with my Wachi example, they just want their food and done?
I think Ghanaians are beginning to care. Also, like we've seen, like since 2012, the progression in terms of options when it comes to dining out.
Yeah.
We have so many options now. I think there was maybe 1 or 2 coffee shops when I was here in 2012, and now we have Second Cup, we have Vida E. We have like just too many options.
Yeah.
So that's also creating a lot of competition within the marketplace, right? So customers can go to one place and have a really good experience, and if they go to another place and it's bad, they're going to talk about it because someone else can do it better.
And social media too, I guess.
Exactly. Twitter is the best place.
Twitter will let you have it. Yeah.
So I do think people care. One, like you said, when you first did the Mystery Diner assessment, there were a lot of things that you weren't paying attention to, and that's one of the pillars of Mystery Diner. Like, we want people to know that if they're going into an establishment, it's just not about the food; it's about everything. Like, is the table clean when you get there? Did someone greet you? Was your receipt correct? Little things like that that you have to pay attention to. And businesses are really starting to think, okay, well, if someone are they even giving you receipts? I mean, you should get a receipt, but they're starting to like ramp up their service and their food quality and stuff because they're getting that feedback, and people are not holding back. There's some reviews, I read them and I'm like, my heart.
So do you publish them? Like,
I have to,
okay,
because I can't compromise the integrity of it, and the review is there for a reason. I think there's always going to be the question of someone like sending in a review to ramp up their business and stuff, but overall, I feel like the reviews we've gotten have been very honest. And we've had businesses come back and ask if they could give a refund to the customer, but I can't even do that because I don't know who the customer is.
That's right.
So we know that they're paying attention to it, and that over time, as people do it more and more, it's going to be even more credible and more legitimate.
That's good. Industry, I mean, I think it's good that they are. It sounds like for the most part are reacting in a positive way, because I'm not sure how. I don't know if you've had any business owners because of really bad reviews, kind of.
In the beginning, that was one of my fears. I was actually scared that I didn't, because it's tied so much to what I do. I didn't want to let anyone know I was behind it. So for like, I think the first 6 months, no one knew I was behind it, but like my close friends. But then I also realized that the businesses should have an opportunity to respond to stuff, and they need to contact someone. And so I just kind of dealt with it. But luckily, it's been pretty positive, like 98%. And I think when you have enough reviews from like one establishment, you begin to see trends. So there's one establishment in particular that has really good reviews for their food, but their service is consistently bad. And you can't say that there's a lie in there somewhere. Several people are saying the same thing. So I try to send the reviews to business owners like, this is what's coming out. Just wanted to give you a heads up and let them know that we're not trying to shame and like bash any business. We're really just trying to give them the opportunity to see what their customers think about what they're providing them.
No, that's really cool. Like, I've enjoyed using it a lot. I'm glad. One more thing to my dining experience. So you run your consultancy firm, you're doing this mystery dining thing. Like, how do you find time to take care of yourself? And like, I've been in Accra now for a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, between the traffic and the heat and all of that stuff. I mean, how do you find a quiet oasis? So how do you self-care, I guess?
So, I mean, unfortunately, and in a roundabout way, fortunately for me, like I lost, during that year that I started my business, I lost my mom.
Oh my goodness,
and it was such a pivotal moment and experience for me, because starting a business is hard enough. And then going through that was also very hard, but it made me really realize how important it is to take care of yourself. So I don't play about my free time. Like my Sundays, if I have to go to the pool, even if I have deadlines, I'm going to the pool. And I've just really focused so much on like your productivity is affected by how well you're doing as an individual. So I tap into how I'm feeling on a daily basis, and I do a lot of meditation and really just like inflection, like, okay, is everything going well? How am I feeling about this? I'm a beach lover, so I go to the beach as much as often. And then I do a weird thing called personal inventory days. I do it once a month.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It's really kind of changed my life. It's basically one day dedicated to taking stock of what you want to improve on with yourself, and also taking the time to, you know, pat yourself on the back. So for the last month, you set your goals and figure out what challenges you had. Like I include prayer points, things I want to pray about, things I want to develop. If I want to save, this is how much I want to save next month. And every month I go back to that. And so I've been doing it for like about the last 6 months. And you can really see how you're changing and progressing as an individual. So
that sounds like a really intentional way of like living your life.
You have to be intentional. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Oh, wow. That's a good tip for me too. Okay, so before we transition to the rapid fire section, can you let us know where people can find you online, if it's businesses that are looking for your services or people want to try mystery dining?
Okay, so I'm on all social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram as Bawoni Consult for my business. If you want any kind of assessment or training, you can contact me through social media. And then for Mystery Diner, I'm also on Facebook, social media, and Twitter, Mystery Diner Ghana.
Okay.
I'm there. Yeah.
All right, and then we'll have that in the show notes for those who are looking to either work with Maureen or rate your own restaurants or cafes as you go about your dining in Accra. So this is the final section of the interview, my hopefully favorite part of the interview too. We're going to do some questions, and then you tell me off the top of your head what the answer is. You can elaborate if you want, but you don't have to, and then we'll just go on to the next thing. Because this is a food, a Ghanaian, well, African food in general, but because we're in Ghana today, we'll start with a question you should expect. Ghana jollof or Niger jollof?
Oh, come on. No, definitely Ghana jollof.
Okay.
If my life depended on it, yeah.
Buffet or a la carte?
A la carte.
Swallow or rice?
Swallow.
Red wine or white wine?
White wine, for sure. You know what? Actually, rosé.
Oh.
Rosé girl.
Okay, so that's even like a blend. Like I can't even... Oh, that's a good answer. Good answer. Coffee or tea?
It used to be coffee. When I lived in Canada, it was coffee, but I'm definitely a tea, herbal tea person now, for sure.
Dining or takeout?
That's so tricky. It depends on my mood. I'm a homebody, so I like to like take out.
But takeout must be hard or maybe not takeout, but delivery is hard in Accra.
That's a whole different issue. But yeah, so pick up.
Okay. Morning person or night person?
Night person.
Instagram or Twitter?
Instagram.
Your biggest pet peeve?
It's hard. Lying?
Oh.
Yeah. I have a really big thing of lying. Like, don't ever let me catch you in a lie.
Okay. And then your favorite African restaurant anywhere in the world. It doesn't have to be in Ghana.
African restaurant.
Like where they're serving local, like African food.
You know what? In Ghana, I would just say in Ghana, my favorite is Living Room.
Oh, actually, that's a good one.
Because I find a lot of people say buka, and buka is fine, but Living Room I find consistently.
Okay,
like, and they have like all sorts of different.
Yeah. Have you been to Asmara?
I have, but it was a while ago.
Okay, I haven't been.
But like in terms of variety, price points. There's always so much to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely Living Room.
I haven't been in a while. That's a good reminder to check it out. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time. I had so much fun. Who knew it was so much fun talking about customer experience? This was great. And yeah, hopefully this was also insightful for you.
I loved it.
All right, thanks, guys. Hey guys, thanks for listening to Item 13, an Essence 13 production. If you like the show, please subscribe, rate, and review us on iTunes. To keep up to date on news and events from Essence 13, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Essence and the number 13. Thank you.